In the summer of 2018, we cycled through Austria, Germany, Switzerland and France. This is the second part of our trip, covering parts of Germany and Switzerland. After Salzburg and Babencham, Munich was the third pit stop. We had only one day to spare before we set out again, but we had to buy new panniers for 2 bikes, and finding accessories that fit and fixing them took half our day. Once we were finally done with that, we headed to the BMW museum, which was quite mind-blowing. We got back to our hosts, Dominic and Sunanda's place before dinner because we planned to leave early the next day. Abuli was heading to see the Neuschwanstein castle and Anto and I were cycling to Konstanz. We took an early morning bus to Ravensburg, from where we began a ride to Konstanz, a city on the lake called Konstanz, or the Bodensee as it's called in German. The lake lies where Germany, Switzerland and Austria meet. As is usual for us, we were doing a self-supported ride without a backup vehicle of any sort. That meant carrying our own luggage, food, cycle repair kit and spares, either on the bikes or on our backs. It also meant that we covered lesser distances than one would with a backup vehicle, but the freedom of a self-supported ride is unmatched. Anto is very good with cycles. He can strip them down and put them back together without a problem, so dealing with bike issues on the road is never a concern. The landscape on this side of Munich, that is on the west, was quite different from the first 2 days of our ride. There were no rolling hills here, and the road was dotted with more villages than earlier. The day again was quite hot, the sun blazing down our backs. We stopped often, sometimes to pluck cherries, sometimes to buy fruits, sometimes because the scents wafting out of passing bakeries were too hard to resist. We were eating Indian winter fruits in the summer in Europe, and I think that had Anto more delighted than all the new places we were seeing. After lunch, we finally had too much of the heat and decided to take a nap in the shade of a tree next to an apple orchard. We slept quite soundly and only woke up when a lady in a tractor passed by. Feeling refreshed, we pedaled with enthusiasm, soon catching sight of the water from quite far away. We rode down to the jetty where we boarded a ferry that took us across the lake to Konstanz. The ferry ride must have been half hour long, and because the sky was already overcast by the time we alighted, we quickly found our home for the night. We dumped our bags and cycled to the lake again. Anto had made up his mind to swim in all the lakes on our route, and he resolutely jumped into the freezing water, swimming for a while before it started thundering. I had made no such promises, so I sat watching people paddling and kayaking in the lake despite the rolling grey clouds. It soon got quite dark though, and we decided to head back. But it started pouring within no time, and we had to take refuge in a little store. We had no complaints though, because they had croissant. It didn't seem like the rain was going to stop anytime soon, and with the store closing, we cycled back, soaked to our bones. The next day rose dry. It had thankfully stopped raining by early morning, and the air had a chill when we set off. Abuli had joined us in Konstanz after her visit to Neuschwanstein, and today she was cycling with us to Eglisau, a small village on the edge of the Rhine on the Swiss border. The road out of Konstanz soon turned into a climb, and we spent the first half of our morning pushing uphill. Last night's rain had passed, but it had left behind some grey clouds, which meant very pleasant weather. The famed meadows and farms of the Swiss countryside soon welcomed us, and we passed herds of brown and white cows grazing meditatively on roadside fields.
Hi Bye girls.
By lunchtime, the sun was out again. Looking for a place to stop for lunch, we chanced upon a small clearing in the forest by the side of the road. Someone had very thoughtfully built a picnic table and benches there, and the tiny clearing had an almost magical feel to it. Post lunch, we set out again, and we had only 35 kilometers or so to go. As luck would have it, Aboli took a scary looking fall about 20 kilometers before our destination. Thankfully, with all bones intact, but with bruised arms and legs, she was back on the bike soon, and we pedaled on. Eglisau turned out to be a gorgeous village of 3,000 residents only, half an hour's train ride away from Zurich. Right across the Rhine on the Swiss side, it was perched on the high bank with an ancient bridge leading to it. Rina and James, who were hosting us, lived in a 100-year-old house that they had carefully restored themselves. And with them lived their adorable puppy Moy. They also owned a boat that was parked under the bridge. After a quick snack and depositing our bags, they took us on a boat ride up the river. We walked around the tiny village and swam in the river alongside swans and ducks. Eglisau was on Eurovelo 15, a major cycling route across Europe. So despite being small, we saw a lot of visitors. We stayed there only for a night before heading further to Basel. Though short, our stay at Eglisau was definitely the highlight of our trip.